So, Rach,
Hey.
aka Gargoyle Girlfriend. Just gonna get straight into it. You posted something on Instagram back at the start of January.
Oh.
I'm just gonna read. I'm just gonna read you a couple of lines from as you post this because it had some really good positive feedback and response.
Okay, that's good.
I think you'll already know what it is. It was your scene and fellow DJs appreciation post. So if anyone's watching, you can go back and read this, but I'll just read one of the lines from it, which is, there's a standard of respect and compassion from body to body, and I see it constantly inspiring us to be better musicians and better humans each and every day. Can everyone say this about the nightlife in their city? Can music really be this beautiful? So just wanted to ask you about like the inspiration behind that post. I know you tagged a lot of like other fellow artists and creators in it and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to come to Hong Kong and start like shooting on my film camera, like just different acts and different things in the scene. And like that was a good way for me to start um being involved even when I didn't know anybody, right? And I remember because I moved from Shanghai where I was already, pretty prominent in the DJ scene, and then I had to move to a new city and then just like you start over, right? So it's a little daunting and like you don't know how people are gonna be, and everybody's so cool, like so cool. And I think because I came and I was in like lockdown and all this for like, a couple months in a room, and all I wanted to do was dance, and I wasn't allowed in places because like the code and stuff. It was my friend Bobby at Social Room. I didn't know him at the time, but I messaged him and I was like, please, can you let me in? Like, I really need to dance. And he came down and he grabbed me from the elevator and like just, that was the first time I heard jungle, that was the first time I heard drum and bass. So it was just like a night of like inhibited dancing. And then from there, meeting everybody, and especially sort of off of that front of like, whoa, everybody's so cool. You come to find that like the DJs and like the coolest and the hottest people are actually really nice. And like your instincts, I don't know, maybe from youth or like childhood or whatever, like tell you that like, oh, that can't be the case. They're just cool and they're nerds and they're wonderful. And being more involved in the scene now and like being you know, a really busy DJ with these people, like it's just been confirmed over the years, like how wholesome and expressive and purely like selfless a lot of the talent here and promoters here and club owners here are, because like in one sense it is a business, but like it's not really worth the whole point of it all if it's not a friendly, loving environment. Like, I think that's what music really truly is. So, what I found really interesting about really watching it and, like, analyzing it, like, quite, like, psychologically, because it's always, like, stumped me of, like, "How could this be? How could this be?" It's not like any other city I've been in. Um, I find that even the people that are, maybe they have the most, like, popular crews or, like, they have, like, what you would think, a reason to be pretentious, right?
Mm.
Like, they run their events and they hold their events, and when there's newcomers, like, they just treat anybody like just a respect, like, just with this respect, and I don't know if that's, like, because of Hong Kong or what, but, like, I find that if you come into the scene or, as a DJ, even as a patron, like, if you're a jerk, if you're, like, really a jerk, you're gonna feel everybody else, and especially, the bigger guys
Mm.
sort of under the current be like, "Hey, that's not cool," And it's sort of this, like, self-containing ecosystem is my theory, I don't know, but I find it really, really beautiful, and I sobbed making that post because I just looked at all the pictures of people that I took pictures of when they were just cool DJs that I was watching, and then now they're my friends, a couple of years later, and it's just like, wow, that's crazy. I walked into that room and I didn't know anybody, and now I know, like, everybody and how beautiful they truly are, so
Yeah, I thought it was really just like a nice post about the Hong Kong scene generally, and for someone that's been in the city, a relatively short period of time, I'm always surprised that how little time you've spent here, given how now established you are on that scene, and how well you know everyone. Yeah, I just thought it was like a nice
just the
summary.
people, it's the kindness. It's hardly, any one person's doing, right? Because I think we see people that are I see people that are passionate, that throw the parties, that set up the things,
Yeah.
way out there, and I see the passion and I respect it, like, so deeply, like, Well, I cry when I think about it. Sure. So to see that it's just like a reciprocal relationship, it's awesome.
How does it differ from Shanghai though? Because you mentioned that you were already quite well established there prior to moving to here. Like,
Yeah.
how was the scene there, and how did you get into it when you were in Shanghai?
Well, when I was in Shanghai, I had moved there, uh, and I had started to sort of get into music when I was graduating college, and I was graduating as a painter. And it was like my senior year, and I was staying up all night, like writing the worst beats on GarageBand you've ever heard. And I was like, oh no, like it's far too late for me to get into this kind of thing. Like, what am I doing? I'm about to get my degree. I had this like whole identity crisis, and I was not good at making music. Like, very good at making paintings, designs, like visual art, you name it, like very good. I'm not afraid to say. But music, I just went like, phew, just like wanted to do it like so bad as I needed to breathe. But I was so bad at it. And so when I moved to Shanghai, it was kind of like, okay, well, how do I, sort of reinvent this part of myself and like go where like nobody knows me kind of thing. But also just be in a foreign place that is far from anything I've ever known. Like my parents didn't have passports. I didn't have a passport
Mm.
before I moved.
No.
Um, so it was just like, let's go into the deep end. And I was first in a band because I was really only into rock music and indie music and folk music. So a lot of what I made was like rock and shoegaze and like punk shit. And I was kind of this like really naive mind of fuck techno, I when I thought about techno, I thought of like EDC and like Tomorrowland and like just like
Yeah.
terrible garbage. When I was 13, I did listen to Skrillex and the Glitch Mob. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only two albums I would like snowboard to. Um, but other than that, I was really of this naive mind, and we had a band, and it was really, really cool learning music from them, learning how to make changes, do this, and they were like a Midwest punk band, and then I was like, "Ooh, maybe we get like gothier with it." So I started my own project called Snuff Disco, which was sort of like The Cure, Depeche Mode,
Mm.
like a little bit more techno, and I was singing on it. Um, but it was hard to program the beats, and I still didn't really know how to program the beats. So I would basically be like, "Let me take my notepad," and I'd basically walk into the club near my apartment, like on Thursdays, basically with a clipboard, being like, let me hear the beats and like with my ears perked up and like study the beats so I could go home in Logic and make them. And something there just shifted because I really just like was like, wait, like electronic music can be like this? Like I hear this sample and I hear this and this night is really synthy and this is really deep techno. And I had just never been exposed to that before. And I didn't see a CDJ up close until that time as well, like 23. So that really shifted, and I came back to my band, and I was like, "It was really good," and they were like, "There's no way, like, we're not going with," like, they were still in that place that I was.
There's like Tenebys, like electronic music.
And I was there once, I get it. It's just so crazy to think about now, because now I love so many types of electronic music and bass music, but I had these blinders on, it was so naive. Um, and yeah, I think even then had no want to be a DJ. It never crossed my mind. I think they still felt really, really, really cool. Um, but there were just a few things that gave me a paradigm shift. There was this one time went to this club that I'd been going to near my house. And I told my one girlfriend who actually liked clubbing and stuff, I was like, you gotta come, like, it's gonna be great. Like, I've been here like 3 nights and it's been awesome. And like, it's always packed and like the music's always great. And she's excited. I'm excited to bring her somewhere cool for the first time, my friend Alyssa. And we get down there and the music sounds really good. We're going down the steps into the basement and it's pumping and it sounds like just my kind of thing. And we walk in and it's empty. And it's empty, and I've only ever seen it full, and the DJ's there, and he's doing great, and it sounds incredible, and I sort of, like, sigh, and I look at her, and I said, "Ah, it's a bust, okay, like, let's go somewhere else," and she grabs my hand, she goes, "Wait." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "If you were the DJ, wouldn't you rather 2 girls just, like, going crazy in here? Like, look at all the space we have to dance." And I just, like I felt like such a fool, like, so silly in that moment because she was so right. And I couldn't even put my shoes in the DJ shoes at that point. Now as a DJ, what I would give to see just two girls like
Yeah.
that, just going crazy.
Yeah.
And now like she appreciated it at the time and I didn't. And but when she said that, I was like, you're so right. And that's the beauty of that kind of thing is like, it's like it doesn't matter how many people are here listening or like how popular this DJ is. Like, is this music good? Like, then let's do it. Like, let's get grooving, you know? So
Yeah, I feel like that's a really important mindset for a lot of people that lack as well this mindset of, oh, if the club is empty, I'm leaving. But then if they don't even kind of like ask themselves, like, oh, is the music good? Do I like this place?
because it
Like,
does get full if everybody comes to doing that.
yeah, and especially if they're the one who stays, like they can control the vibe of the place. Because if you enter a party and it's packed already, you can only accept whatever vibe that is
That
there
is so
already.
true. That is
So
so
there
true.
you can set it. But it's hard. I think it's especially in Hong Kong music scene as well. I think with the more like commercial versus underground places, like most people only want to go to parties still if they know it's gonna be like a packed party.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get it because I feel like there's this, especially when you're, sorry, with a group of friends or something, there's this, you realize, and you're a promoter, you know, so you know that like weekends are precious. Everybody works so hard in the city, like a weekend is precious. Like you don't want to waste just a few hours going somewhere that um, or you're dragged with your friends to places that like they don't know where they're going, baby. Or they don't like the same kind of thing that you do, or like it sucks to feel like a Saturday night is wasted or something. So I understand the want to get it right. But in the same breath, like the willingness to try new things or like go to a warehouse and watch a Kanger, like, you know, like that can always be so worth it. So the
Really
risk
worth it.
really is worth it. But yeah.
They can often be like the more memorable and more profound nights as well.
Oh,
Like you said,
sure.
like that night when you went in, there's just two of you. That's a memory that will stick with you forever because that was, like you say, a big paradigm shift for you.
It means so much to me. And what you said too about like you control the vibe, like that makes me think of like a mantra that I think about that controls my life and life purpose all the time, which is similar to what you said, is that you control the temperature around you. You know, if the world is going crazy, if everything's hard, like if it's tough in your family or whatever, like you get to be the difference between like the 2 people next to you, the 5 people next to you, the 30 people. So you're not as powerless as you think, even when things are a lot.
Oh, that's really beautiful to hear.
It's
Especially
just
right
what
now.
you said. It just made me think of it because that like leads my whole life basically.
Yeah. How we were talking before you got here about your name. Like it's a really good like brand that you've got as a name. Like it's a really good, just a really good image that you've built around
Well, you
your
say that. I
girlfriend.
was in Casa Del the other night, and there was somebody there from the Netherlands that was just visiting through, and I got off my set, and I was in one of the rooms in the back and just chilling, and somebody said, "Oh, you're a DJ?" I'm like, "Yeah. What's your DJ name?" And I said, "Gargoyle Girlfriend," and he said, "You gotta change that." He said, "I said love that one. Why?" He was like, "That's just awful," and I was like, "What?" I actually really appreciated it because nobody's ever said that to me, and it made me like belly laugh because I don't know, the gut punch humility was like actually so good for me. Like I loved it.
Yeah.
Did he give a good reason for it? Like,
I think I would think he didn't give me such a good reason. He just said that like, you know, if you're gonna make it big time, you should probably change it to like your real name. And I was like, my last name is McInerney. It's probably not any better. But no, I just thought it was funny. I think some people don't like alliteration. Maybe it is kind of silly. Like I get that it's silly.
Honestly, the first time I saw it on a flyer, I was like, what a fucking stupid name that is. Honestly, I was like, wait, who's that? Gargoyle
See, that's
Girlfriend?
okay.
Yeah.
We're allowed to like react to things.
Yeah.
Have interpretations.
But again, like looking back and then looking at it now, it's like it's such a unique standout name. Like it stands out along a lot of the other names that are out there, and that's no discredit to anyone else who.
Yeah.
It's got.
I mean, it was never so much intended to be a DJ name necessarily. I didn't like I said, I didn't really like choose to be a DJ in a typical way, but I was performing on my own like folk electronic stuff and this and that. And so I guess there's 2 ways that it started. The first way is I had a username. You know when like you make your username when you're 13?
Yeah.
You know,
Very boring. I was just through Tanya everywhere. It was very boring.
you're doing so wild. You stuck with it. I had to have a brand change because I thought when I was 13, 14, 15, growing up in New Jersey, I would move to Alaska and like be a recluse and like paint and maybe even join the Iditarod race, you know, with the sled dogs. That was like my dream. So my username was Late Night Alaska. And it was that way on Tumblr. And I got like moderate Tumblr fame because I was like into airsoft. So there was like a gun community that was like into me and all this. And then I had that username for everything except Instagram. I had to have an underscore. And I was always like so pissed about it. I was always like so bitter about it. So one day I'm like, let me look up the real Late Night Alaska. Like, who do they think they are? You know? And I look them up and they're private, but I request them. Turns out this guy actually lives in Alaska and he rehabilitates falcons and owls and like birds of prey, like in his house. And we actually got to chatting. We became really good friends. We became really good friends over like the course of like 10 years. And like 5 years in, I'm like, oh, that's funny. We actually became friends, like pen pals, sort of, just like chatting. And he's always telling me about the birds and he's sending me, you know, about the falcons and whatnot. And he's just like a sound guy. And one day I was just like, you know, like, I've moved to Shanghai at this point, far from Alaska, which I thought I would do.
Oh, it's just across the water, isn't it? It's probably closer than New Jersey.
But it's tropic versus all that. So I just came to this like to this conclusion of like, well, he should really have the name, not even somebody else with the underscore. He deserves it. Dude's like bringing falcons back to life, and like he's the nicest guy. So I had to change it, and I'm thinking about to change it too, and this and that and this and that. And for me, aesthetically, and among things that I love Gothic architecture. I love the bathtubs with like claws at the bottom, you know, like the furniture, like the, I don't know, like I just love it.
Well, like the bathtubs on feet and they've got claws to feet, yeah.
Yeah, there's like other furniture that has it, and I'm just like, yeah, like put claws on it. Like Asia here, I love like foo dogs, you know, with like the thing in the mouth, and I love like singhas, you know, like the big like Thai sculptures, and just like, oh, like I just go crazy with those things. So
Almost a mythical kind of like.
yeah, there's like a mythical vibe to it. I remember in high school one time reading about gargoyles too, because I wasn't really grown up in a religious context per se, but it's everywhere, like in the buildings and stuff in America and in France. And gargoyles, they look like demons, but they're actually put on and in the churches to ward off evil spirits. So like they kind of play for the good side, but like they don't look like it. So that always kind of stuck with me. I thought that was cool. And we had a little gargoyle in our garden. Like it had a little fountain thing, and it's been there since I've been alive. And even when we moved houses, like it was there. And at one point we had a koi fish pond, and like water would spew out of it, and it's got these like wings on the side, and it's stone.
Was that a considered choice? Like, did your family want this because they felt it was going to scare away the demons? And it just,
No, maybe. You'd have to ask my mom. Like,
It's like Western feng shui. Western feng shui.
yeah, I think I get my taste of feng shui from her, but she's also like quite, I don't know, like spiritual set. So it's possible.
Yeah.
But this gargoyle followed us from house to house, and it was always like, you know, my first friend as a toddler. Like there wasn't people around. Like my sister didn't bother with me, so I was just sort of like hanging out with this gargoyle all the time, and I loved it. And I remember I went away to college, and you know, I'm one of the few cases where my parents didn't get divorced, but it came close, I think, at one point. And I was at college, so I was like an adult at this point. I'm like, Mom, I love you. Do what you want to do. Like, Dad, I love you. Like, just want you to be happy. So they were kind of fighting, and things were tense and whatever. And I was home for just a weekend. And it was a day they like were not speaking with each other. And that was clear. But something had happened with the gargoyle, like the wind like knocked it over or something, and both of its wings cracked off. And it's like heavy, it's made of stone. So I knew that this had happened, but then I went out and did something, and I came back and I come out to the kitchen, and they're like holding this gorilla glued gargoyle together. They have to stay there for like half an hour for the glue to set because the wings are heavy. I didn't know that they're so mad at each other, and like just walking in on that was so funny to me. Like it's tragic, but like it's funny at the same time, and it's this gargoyle, you know. So it's always sort of meant a lot to me in a lot of different ways, aesthetically, and then like also because of that. And you know, they're together to this day. And yeah, I've always been a girlfriend, so alliteration. There we go. That's basically the story. Yeah.
That's way more than I ever imagined that story was going to be. That's so good.
Yeah. But it sounds silly, and I love that too.
Yeah.
I'm a bit silly, so.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's a really good name.
It's more. It feels more meaningful than silly. Honestly, it feels quite.
Yeah.
It's like a thread in life that's been, that you notice this little pattern. Yeah. Now it's your DJ name, well, artist name, DJ name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that Dutch guy, he's never going to forget it. Is he?
No, right?
He gets it. He's never going to forget that name now.
I hadn't laughed like that all week. Like, it really caught me off guard, and it really cracked me up. It looks better than it sounds, I guess, because people like it's like gargle. It's kind of a tongue twister. It looks pretty good. Yeah.
Especially with the Gothic type
Yeah.
font that you like to use, it looks quite good.
We love a goth. We love a goth. So.
How was that, like Gothic influence then, like influenced your music choice and?
You can definitely, for me, because I know where it came from and that I didn't start with electronic music, I can definitely hear it in the sounds that I love the most. It's like not so obvious, but it's like a live bass line in this, you know, organic techno song, or like a synth pattern, or like a syncopation, or like certain polyrhythms can sound kind of dark and stuff. So like I felt like when I first started doing DJ sets, because I didn't know so much about electronic music, I felt really really nervous, but also just like so new to it that like I didn't know how people were going to respond. And I knew I'd found music I really liked, you know, the type of like techno that I really liked, but I didn't really hear it so much in the clubs. And I got a really big event at Elevator in Shanghai, which is like, was a staple there. And the club owner, Mao Mao, he's so nice. And I remember I was so scared before I went on, and he was like, it's okay, you should be nervous. He's like, if there's ever a day that I'm going up and I'm not nervous, I should quit, because that's normal. And I was like, yeah, I hear you there. But I was like, but I have been to this club a lot, like this year. And I was like, I don't hear in here what I am hoping to play. And he looked at me and he said, Rach, do you think I want you to play what everybody here is playing? And I was like, I really needed to hear that, because I thought the answer was yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I really thought, and I'm so glad he said that to me, because I was just so scared. And I went up and I did it, and people loved it. Like, people really loved it. I loved it, and people loved it. And it took like maybe doing 5 or 6 more shows of just music I love and people saying they loved it and actually reacting to it for me to believe that it was actually good. You know, I think trusting your taste is such a huge part of this world as an artist, as a visual artist, as a musical artist. Like, if you don't hear it a lot everywhere else or in the mainstream, like, you're going to maybe think it's cringy. But if you really love it, there's a reason that you love it. And if you are brave enough to flip it out and like fully show that, then like I was surprised that people were like, wow, I've never heard this before. This is so cool. We really needed this kind of thing. Like, and I was just like, really? Okay, because I love it. I'll just keep playing music that I love, I guess. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I really remember that the kind of sound that you're describing, because I remember one time at a temple event in Saikong on the rooftop, and it was like, I think like 9 to 10 p.m. or like 10 to 11, something like that.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, and then it was during the whole I rewatched the entire video recording, and then it just felt like there's, as you said, like one bass line just carrying everything through, like, because from the beginning to the end it felt like one song, but then it's like an hour long. And then throughout you weave into, like, it feels very like jungly, like I feel like your deep jungle is dark but also not too dark.
No, totally.
Yeah, so it's not like depressing dark, but it's just like, ooh,
it's like groovy, and that's what I call it. And Boris Brecht is coming here, and he was one of my absolute favorites to start, like minimal, high-tech, minimal techno. And him and a couple other DJs, Hozo, who's also a mask player, which also inspired me. They've developed a term in music, like a subterm called mellow dark. And it's mellow but groovy but fun but dark, but it's not like mega dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it still touches on this really like melancholy kind of like fun space. And that's where I love it. But yeah, you can hear that live sort of instrumentation bit in it. And when it comes to the tropical stuff, I mean, remember I got really into that. I've always been into like sort of the live drums and organic sounds, but I would play it in clubs in Shanghai and it wouldn't quite fit because it was like nightclubby. But then when I moved to Hong Kong, it like all clicked into place because I was like, okay, here we are on this beach, here we are on this rooftop, on this sunset, and suddenly all the music I loved was so appropriate with the setting. Just makes it for everybody, I think.
Yeah, speaking of, I guess, like kind of like the Hong Kong special unique nature with its music, like, is there any particular event that you remember that is kind of deep in nature that really, really touched part of you that you didn't realize existed before or something like that?
All of them, really. I didn't really know that wasn't a thing in Shanghai, you know, like these kind of like deep in the jungle, take a small tiny boat to in the middle of the night, pull up, you know, like
Yeah, honestly, that is the one part that of Hong Kong that sometimes my friends are like, "Oh, what's fun to do in Hong Kong?" I'm like, "You gotta go to a rave."
yeah.
And it's mind blowing to people where the first biggest association to a lot of travelers, it's still shopping and TST.
God.
Or
Dude, I was
So
in
popular.
Evening Arms Alive, and it was Fashion Week, and I was in the line for the ladies' room, and there were some people visiting from New York that like were here for a couple days, and they've been here a couple days already, and they're in Min. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool, like you're visiting, like how do you like it? La la la. And she's like, yeah, we don't really know what to do tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, well, have you gone to any of the beaches? And she was like, there's beaches here. And I was like, girl, pull up Google Maps. Like, we're on an island. Like, go walk any direction. That blew my mind that she didn't know that there's beaches here. But that's the thing. We just get the best of, like, everything. We got jungles with monkeys in it. We got mountains, and we've got cliff sides with beaches. And then we've got this deep, deep city with, like, these deep nightclubs and just, like, banyan trees ripping through all of it, which is so beautiful. I love the banyan trees. Is there any one outdoor rave? No, because a couple of them have been really special for different reasons. Omni's always done such a great job with them. They treat their artists so well. Like, I remember just feeling that, you know, anything happened, I lost my phone, they're just, we're on it. Like, they're just helpful, and they're just beautiful, beautiful people, Adam and Petra. But really the heart of everybody else that does it in their own small ways, like, it's just this heart of, like, we are DJs and we're trying to make this party, but we want it to sound really good. So we're going to pull all this equipment out and make sure that it sounds good, even though it's the middle of nowhere, because it's worth it like that. And the people that do lights, the guys at like Greenlight Hong Kong, like,
so good.
oh my God, they're insane. Like, they're literally like wizards with their lights, and it's so wild. And yeah, they've been in it for a long time too, you know, and they're a bit older in the scene, and like they still love it because we love it, and for the same reasons. And I'm sure it'd be interesting to have them on too, because they've watched it change. You know what I mean? And
So with a role
a different angle from yeah.
yeah, and I just respect them so much. I just like, yeah, I'm always so fascinated with their stories and how they got into it. He's got some really good stories about how he got into it, and yeah, the outdoor aspect is so cool. And going back to how everybody's so friendly with each other too, like there's a safety that you feel, even when you're like remote or in the middle of nowhere, because everybody looks out for everybody, you know? And I really feel like bad stuff doesn't happen because it's not the same type of care or lack of care. Sometimes I see people with their friends in LKF, you know, that are like just falling over like on the street, and their friends just like went to the next place or like whatever. Like, that's not gonna happen out here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the same mindset. And I find that really great.
Indeed.
One thing I always quite like about your profile, your public profile on Instagram, is that you're quite visible in your like journey as well. So you'll talk about when you're going through phases of learning about new genres and then dropping back into others, and like, actually I think I've spent enough time playing this. And how do you decide like what to step into, what to step out of when the right time is? Like, how does that process look?
I feel like I don't really get to decide. It's more like I do, but like it's at my core, and like I don't get a say of like what I'm like super obsessed with or like love in the moment or what. I just feel it. I heard somebody on a podcast talk about once, like if we've all had crushes before, right? On people.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you sick. Like you're like, oh my God, like I can only think about this one person. Like it gives me like psychosis. But anyway.
It's a different podcast.
It was on the topic of like if you have a crush on an idea, whether that's like a passion project, a music genre, like you have to lean into that and be like, am I having feelings for this like idea? And for me, that can sometimes be music genre because, like I said, it wasn't until Bobby like yanked me into Social Room that time and snuck me in that I heard jungle and like bass, and there wasn't much of that in Shanghai at the time, I don't think. So when I heard that, I was like, what is this? I've never heard this before. It's awesome. And then Will would come over. I met Will at one of those events, and Will would come over, and he was like, he didn't have gigs at the time, so he was like, yeah, I'm a DJ. And I only had like some rooftop catch-it gigs and little things that here and there. And he was like, yeah, we could just like hang out like B2B, whatever. So like he would come up and make tiny decks in my closet, and he like only had drum and bass, and I like only had like organic technos. Like I was literally taking my techno and like putting it to 175 for many times, and sometimes it sounded really cool actually. I've gone back into experimenting with that. But then I started downloading like drum and bass just for when he came over, and little did I know I downloaded like the most commercial shit. Like I didn't even know it was like Jump Up, whatever. But it was just so for when he came over, I could play with him. Sorry. And then after that, it was kind of like that, oh, this is kind of cool, you know? Like he said he's into this stuff, and his taste in it was really good, but I didn't really know where to find the kind of stuff he was finding.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like I've never been that much into dubstep, right? But I had to B2B with J-Fung for Keep Hush, and I knew that there's no way in hell I'm gonna like go find my own dubstep necessarily. Like I can't type dubstep into SoundCloud and find what he is finding, you know, because he's been digging through that like those caverns for years and years and years, and he plays good dubstep. I don't like dubstep, but he plays good dubstep. And so speaking of J-Fung, when J-Fung asked if I wanted to play dark metas, I was like, I don't have any bass music. I don't have any drum and bass music, really. I just had what I downloaded for Will, but I know that that's like dark metas is such a cool sort of goth bass community, and I loved going to their shows. They're so experimental. So I said yes because I have to try, you know? And then I really found stuff in that vein that I really, really learned to love. And then I got booked for drum and bass for like a year.
Yeah.
By people. And I said, oh, I got to get more drum and bass. I fell in love with it. And then I found out about like neuro drum and bass, and I started doing UKG because usually like in events where there's bass that like starts with like UKG and like 130 and then like builds up. So sometimes I got those earlier slots.
Yeah.
I'm just like pretending to be a UK girl, you know? And I'm playing these songs that people are like, oh, what a classic. I remember, oh God, it can be so embarrassing sometimes. I remember I played at Smoo festival that the Llama guys put on, and I had just sort of started to get into bass music a little bit, but my set was more electro. But I found this one song, and it was like always for the UK, always for the UK, and I was like, I'm gonna put this song in for my UK boys and Sticky Pride Vibes, like, you know, like a shout out to them, you know. And I put it in the set and mixed it in and looped out of it real cool, and then I got off the set and they're like, you played Jamie XX? And I was like, huh? And they're like, I love that song. They were all singing along during it and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I played Jamie XX. I didn't know he was famous. Like, I'll play these songs that everybody knows, and I thought I did something.
Like, I like those for reason. They're a good song. They're good tracks.
It's just really funny how it happens. But yeah, just falling in love with it, this and that. And then it got to a point where I've been asked to do, down the line, like a year later, I've been asked to do UKG sets. And I didn't enjoy it so much. And then I was like, okay, there's something I can cut out of this pie now because I've done it. And it's not me. You know what I mean? But I remember one time we were doing a show with the 0159 guys when they were like starting out, when they were really early. They're like massive now. But we used to do shows at Social Room their first couple times. And before I had really like rubbed shoulders with them, we were in a chat about the thing and what's going down and this and that. And I guess being in the Sticky Fried Vibes chat, I've picked up some European slang. So I'd say like mate and I'd say like sound and like all this stuff in the text. And then I showed up to the 0159 thing and I said something at the door and they were like, "You're American?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "You don't text like an American." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm playing UKG. That's what they know. And I'm just like, chameleon over here, like code switching.
What does it sound like when you say, "Oh yeah, that's soundmate"? Can you say that in like a British voice or not?
What I wouldn't say it in a British voice though. I mean, because it was in the chat that like they were hearing it, but I just go like, "Okay, sound, yeah." Like, mate, like don't do that. So I'm doing it in America, yeah, I guess. But like, that's the interesting thing about moving to these kind of global cities is you really start to like hybridize, like in a way.
Can totally relate. I think Hong Kong's like a haven for third culture.
For sure.
Like you can talk whatever, be whatever, and it'll be cool because no one can really guess where you're from anyways.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone we know, like, yeah, we have no idea. It's like everyone on the street is like, I have no idea. They can look Chinese, but like they grew up in like Iceland. I don't know. Like there's something completely random like that.
Yeah.
No, but
Totally.
that's something special about Hong Kong.
It is.
But back to what you were saying, I really liked what you were mentioning about how when you asked about the music, like, oh, when do you decide?
Wrong page.
When do you decide kind of like which music to lean more into? And you described it as it's not really you deciding it. It's more like, oh, if you have a tingling interest, then you go explore it. If you don't, then you stop. And then, but if you do, you keep exploring. And through that exploration process, I feel like more people, not just within music, but like they should just listen to what their inner self is telling them, like, hey, go try that out and just try it.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think like on a fundamental level, I think all DJs will experience this where, and I've thought about it and it's kind of trippy because like you'll listen to like, I don't know, your Discover Weekly on Spotify or whatever it is, or go through like these pools, these DJ pools, and like immediately you click play and you're like, no. And then you hear something, yes. Like what is that like gauge that is in you? It's quite instinctive to be like, yes, I would play that. No, I wouldn't. It's like swiping on Tinder, maybe. I don't know. But like it is quite immediate, and then it just becomes like, then you listen to it more and you fall in love with it more and you're like, oh, because of this break and this break, I can do this and this and this. But it's just always growing. I'm always downloading new music. So it's crazy how much my library has grown. But
where do you download and source it from? Because with those weekly recommendations on Spotify, I hate it now so much. It just diverts me down such a path that it's like music that I want, or music that I've already listened to. And I want to like discover new stuff. And I think it's not a very good way of doing it. So I'm curious where like
what I would do, because what I noticed I was doing after I didn't notice it for a long time was I've been compartmentalizing my algorithm without even knowing it. So I would listen to like DJ stuff that I would DJ on Spotify. Like it got overtaken by that. So I wasn't even hearing like folk rock or indie rock anymore. Like there's only a few playlists the early days when I made a Spotify account that they're there. But now it's like all sort of the same stuff that I'm asking for. Electronic, sometimes drum and bass, sometimes breaks, but techno, and it's all that. And then on YouTube, I watch a lot more like KEXP or like live music stuff. So my YouTube algorithm will show me like live recordings or like a versions, or like traditional music artists that I've always loved, in between like alien conspiracies that pop up. And then my SoundCloud is a lot more musically like schizophrenic because of the way I've used SoundCloud to find remixes of something that like, and this is another funny part about finding remixes. Oh my God. I love a bit of cheese in my set. So like, I love to find like an old classic, but it's hitting, because it's like a really well done remix. And I'll like literally be walking down the street and like have like All the Things You Said by Tattoo. Like, there's got to be a remix of it. Like, it just hits me. And I, like, first thing I do is go into SoundCloud because, like, that's where the track...
Me and Wilson are dying inside a little bit when you say that. Tattoo. It's like a really old song.
Yes. But that's what I love because, like, you play an old song that even is old to the new generation, but they know it, they love it. And then there's us, like, the millennials who are like, yeah. You know, it's at the end of a set, you don't expect it. But, so I go to SoundCloud and I type it in. And, like, I kid you not, I always have to listen to, like, 600 minimum of the worst remixes you've ever heard. That, like, why would you even put that? I'm not hating. But I'll eventually get to the one that's good. And usually the one that's good was uploaded 7 years ago. And there's no upload link. And I'm like, no, I've just searched, like, through all of these. And this is the only good one. And, like, in this, like, act of desperation, I'll, like, message them on SoundCloud or email them. Every time within an hour, they message back and they're like, oh, I've stopped producing music a while ago, but I'm glad somebody can
so cool.
and did it to it. And, like, I'm usually like, please send it to me. Like, the Hong Kong kids are going to go feral. Like, please send it. And they've said, like, please send me a video of the Hong Kong kids going feral. And I do. And I make sure that I film it and send it to them because, like, they made it in, like, Wisconsin or something one day. And then, like, now all these years later, like, it's gratifying to kids in Hong Kong and, like, DJs in Hong Kong and, like, it's mind-blowing, you know? It's so cool because you put out music and you think that, like, I think as a musician or as a producer, you put it out and you think and hope that the gratification is immediate. But it's gonna, like, grow legs and have a life outside of you that you might never get to know. You'll never know what this person, how this person shared it in the car with their friends. Like, they're not gonna tell you that. I might tell you that because I overshare. But yeah, I think that's so fascinating, the whole thing.
Well, there should be a better way of sharing with musicians how feral the crowd went. Like, it's like SoundCloud, but mixed with Instagram or something.
Let's go. That's so great. Yeah, it's like, what's that? There's that app that's like you share, like, the day in the life, like the moment.
Be real.
Be real, but it's like Be Real for, like,
Very obscure, very obscure random remixes.
Yeah.
Like 30 streams on SoundCloud.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love that idea. And one of them actually got really huge as well. He didn't have as many on SoundCloud when I found him, and you've probably heard it 1,000 times now. The Limp Bizkit UKG Break Stuff remix. So good. By a DJ named...
the podcast is released. Is that...
No, it's huge now.
We'll overlay that, Wilson.
Thank you.
Huge this up. What does that like? Producer's name is Morty, and again, I sent that message. I'm like, please, the Hong Kong kids will go feral, like, please send it. And he sent it to me and said that as well. And he sent it to me in a link before it was released, and I played it at one of the early 0159 shows, and they did, in fact, go feral. And we got to chatting, and we became friends, similar to Late Night Alaska, just, like, talking, like, easy conversation. And next thing you know, like, a month later, it's #1 on, like, listen on SoundCloud. He played at Boomtown, and I was going to Boomtown. So I walked up after his set, and I was walking up, and he goes, no way, all the way from Honk. And I was like, Morty. No, so, like, it's crazy, just, like, the little relationships you can have just because of a song and because of them sending it to you, and wild.
I think there's a really good lesson in that, isn't there? That when you're an artist, no matter what stage you're an artist, if you're pumping out shitty remixes of Tattoo or whatever it may be, maybe in 7 years' time, someone's just going to message you out the blue and be like, yo, this pops. Or this was featured on, like, a movie. And so the songs come back into vogue again, so people are searching for it. So even if you think that your art is not that great, like, got to get it out there. You're going to miss out this moment.
You're going to expect everything to flood in the day you've dropped it and posted your link on, you know, Instagram stories. And, like, that's just not the reality. Like, you have to let it fly through the world, you know? Like, it's in another dimension, basically. And yeah, I think that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. Have you had any instances of something similar with that, where music that you've put out, or even not non-music, like your other art, like artistic outputs that you've got, you find you've had any moments like this yet?
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think. So,
Put you on the spot here.
one of my favorite artists of all time like he was in a Canadian band called Wolf Parade. And he had a couple bands. He was quite prolific. He was in a band called Wolf Parade, Swan Lake, Frog Eyes, and then his own project, Moonface. And he did like synthesizer with the guitar sort of aspect of the band, but he also did one whole album just solo where it's just him on the grand piano. And it's just like the most incredible album you've ever heard. And he is really poetic in his lyricism and like really like a lot of imagery. So like as a poet, because I was a writer for a long time, it really just grabbed me, and you know, in that sort of whirlwind of being in college and not knowing what your life is but feeling so much and just like spinning out on the lawn, you know what I mean? Like it was that I was listening to and just really connected with. And he's got like quite a big of a cult following. Like he's a big artist in Canada, and he's kind of a private man, and you know, so he didn't really have social media for a while and all this, but I just loved his music more than anything. And when I started making music and playing guitar, like it was because I wanted to one day make something like that affected somebody like it affected me. And I knew that I would maybe never know if that ever was the case, but like I really, like I said earlier, like something happened to me where I like needed to make music as badly as I needed to breathe. And like I was like blowing off assignments and I wasn't sleeping, and I was just like trying. And it was just like this, yeah, weird, insatiable starting point of just like kind of like fake it till you make it, but also just like just keep trying. Like it's really bad. Just keep trying, learning instruments, all this. And it was years later after I'm in the band and I have a handle on music and we performed like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows. And I decided to leave Shanghai because the lockdown was so hard, and I'd come here for like a few months after it had already lifted, once it finally lifted and I was able to come down. And then I went back because I was like, oh, well, I gotta, you know, tie up things with my band and we have to finish our album. And I was running like a collective at that point, sort of like Tempo, and it was really regular and it employed a lot of people, so like gotta wrap that up and all this. But it was so painful after the lockdown and everything that had happened, and even being back there, like it didn't feel like it did. And there was a guy who used to play at Chair Club. He was like a jazz pianist, and he saw me like singing at open mic one time, and he was like, hey, I'd love it if you could pick like a song to cover and we could cover it for, you know, my show. And he filmed it and stuff. And because I was leaving Shanghai, I was trying to pick a song that I could really like emotionally fall into. And for me it was one of Spencer's songs, Spencer Crook's song. And it was called City Wrecker. And I sang it and it was really emotional. I remember trying to like practice singing it and I was just like break down in tears. So I'm like, how do I do this for the video, you know? And yeah, we did it and he posted it and Spencer reposted it, you know, like off of one of his pages and like commented on it. And like just to be like recognized by your idol, you know what I mean? It kind of made me sick, to be honest, because he followed me on Instagram too. And like I literally like my stomach flipped because I was like, this is the person that I've like based my, you know, musical like goal at, you know.
You've been on a journey with him, right? So from the early days, even though he might not be aware of it, obviously at the time. I'm like,
creepy. I don't know. It's to be a parasocial relationship, but
he's like, just listen.
And people would like, I don't know, like we like, I don't know, like friends knew I was obsessed with him, and like, oh, like what have you dated? I'm like, I don't have that kind of feelings for him at all. It's literally not romantic. Like it's like musically romantic. Like I want to be able to make something that's like this, as powerful as this, as different as this. Yeah, and just like you said, it's been all through that. But yeah, really, really cool.
Beautiful.
Talking of idols, I want to ask you about this as well. You posted, you know what's coming. He posted again loads of updates on when you shared that flight with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, my favorite person. My other favorite person in the.
Yeah, it's so good. So I'm just curious, like, did you tell him about your like life, your world? And did you get any feedback from him about?
I sure had to.
Yeah.
I sure had to. Yeah, what's actually crazy about that whole thing is he's literally like my favorite celebrity of all time. Like, I watched his movies in college. I had a pillow of him from The Life Aquatic in my college apartment.
Did you tell him this when you saw him?
Oh yeah. And it was like him in The Life Aquatic on the chair, and it was just random and funny, and I had it in my apartment. It was great. And I played a D&D campaign one time that was just Jeff Goldblum as a rogue with like stuff in his jacket. And he's just so funny. And I also have like a party question that I've been asking the past couple of years, given like the political state of the U.S. But the question is like, if you could pick one president of the United States, like anybody, who would you pick? And
For what?
to be president of the U.S. Like, if it could be Trump, it could be anybody. So like, who would you pick? For me, I would pick Jeff Goldblum or Fred Armisen. Like, I just trust them. I don't know. So those were always my answers. So I'm coming home after Christmas, and I'm in, was it JFK? Yeah, I think I was flying out of JFK. And I'm boarding onto the plane, and it's from New York to LA. And I'm tiredly shuffling on. And then in one of the seats, in the front that has more leg room, there's just Jeff Goldblum sitting there. And I'm like, Jeff Goldblum, what are you doing here? And I know I don't have a lot of time because like I'm just going to be moving to my seat, which is like a bit behind him. And all I can think about is he had this movie in the 80s. It was one of his first films called Vibes. And it's him and Cyndi Lauper, and they're like psychics that get roped into this like treasure scheme by a con man to like help find. And it's so great. And I even wrote a song about it back when I was like trying to make music on a broken synthesizer. It was called Vibes, featuring Jeff Goldblum and Cyndi Lauper. And so I said to him, I was like, listen, I'm like in a world of terrible sequels that no one needs. It's like, can I please get a sequel to Vibes? It's like, I love that movie so much. And he just like cracked up, and he was just like, who are you? What do you do? And I was like, I live in Hong Kong. I'm a DJ and an art teacher, and I'm just on my way home. And he just goes like, I need to get the person next to you to switch seats with me because I need to hear all about your life. And I was like, okay. So I go to my seat, and then he does come up and ask the guy next to me if they could switch. And that guy's like, oh yeah, like sure, Jeff Goldblum, like sure. And then boom, we're hanging out for 6 hours, and he was just like literally like the loveliest person. You'd think that like he's not like his interviews or this and that, but like clearly I wanted him to be president of the United States, but you hope that's just the case. And he was just like so like locked in and interested. And I think for him, he was interested in somebody that like wasn't in the LA world.
Yeah.
Well, that's good about Jurassic Park, which I bet he gets loads of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I love so many of his movies. He did a movie that I watched in a cult cinema class called Buckaroo Banzai and His Adventures Across the Ninth Dimension. Like, we're quoting that movie back to each other because, like, I love it. And I'm a little starstruck, so I'm like, there's this movie and this movie and this movie, and when you play this guy and this guy and this guy. And I was just like, this is probably a lot, like, sorry. And he was like, no, keep going. Like, he loves it. He loves it. And then we're talking for like an hour and a half, and it turns out he had been coming from like he was in Greece and all this, and like he's only flying economy because there was a misconnecting flight, and they just like made it happen for him, like just the next flight. So it's like an hour and a half in, and I'm like, hey, listen, like you're so fun to talk to. I'm like, but it sounds like you've been on a journey. Like if you just want to like plug in, if you just want to like, read a book or whatever, like totally cool with it, watch a movie. And he was like, oh, no. He's like, but we can look at the movies and talk about all the movies and like talk about it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, great. Yeah. So we did that. We talked about movies. He loves horror movies. We were talking about Wes Anderson, because he's done a couple movies with Wes. And he also loves horror. And he was saying that the last couple of movies Wes didn't do so well, and he felt bad for him and this and that. But he said that they were some of his favorites, like Jeff's favorites personally. And I was just like, yeah. I was like, it'd be really interesting if he just did something that like totally flipped it on its head. I was like, what if Wes made a horror movie that was like truly terrifying? And he was like, oh my God, yeah, that'd be great. And now I like really hope it happens because like that could be really, really cool. And another thing that was said that was interesting was I was like, oh, I saw this video of this person doing impressions of you and like this person doing impressions of you, and like some people react to impressions that are done of them. And he's like, yeah, that's funny. And I was like, and he was like, has anyone ever done an impression of you? And I was like, no, you couldn't do an impression of me. He's like, sure you could. And to me, that was like, oh, I guess that is possible. It's not just if you're famous. Do you have mannerisms? You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't want to see it.
Did he try to do one? Oh, that was so funny.
Oh boy.
No.
Okay.
Even I got like impressions done of me, like me at a party.
Oh my God.
It's very embarrassing, but it's also kind of funny to see it from a different perspective.
Right. I mean, if you're an actor and you're scripted and you know what you're doing, but this is also his personality, which is shocking. We did like a sketchbook game. In my sketchbook, it's like a blind contour game. So like you take your sketchbook and you look at the person without looking at the paper. And I'm just cracking up because we're just like dead eye locked, looking at each other. Do this thing, and I just can't like stop laughing because I'm like, Jeff Goldblum, what are you doing here? Like, and he is just absolutely lovely and just super cool. It was the most fun 6 hours. We were probably so annoying on the flight because we were just giggling and yapping and like belly laughing, and we were probably just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
these people.
That's so funny.
Like, we really did get along. And it makes sense to me now because it really just got to this comfort too of like I was able to, because I like dry humor, you know, so like I was able to just take jabs and be like, okay, well, I'm not Jeff Goldblum, like it got really familiar of just like we can just joke around, and I think he liked that too. And
did you get to share any of your art with him? Obviously, his art is out there, so you are aware of it. Did you get?
yeah, we ended up like just going through our photo reels because we were bored, so just like our photo libraries of like, oh, this is what my dog did the other day, and like. And he was like, yeah, I'm practicing for the Golden Globe. And yeah, I told him that I was in a band and had some music, but the videos I had wouldn't load. So he was like, why don't you just sing some for me? So I started singing Creep by Radiohead because that's all I could think of. And then I started to stop, and he was like, no, sing the whole thing. So here I am just singing Creep into his ear to the best of my ability. And he's just like, that's marvelous. He's like, I've never heard that song before. I'm like, you must have. He just released a jazz album, and it's incredible. He's telling me about it. So definitely, if we can get him to Hong Kong, that would be great. He said he was here once in the 80s for like a few days, but didn't get to really. So I said, please come to Hong Kong. Oh my God. Like, I would love to make it happen. Yeah.
Are your Instagram friends now?
Hmm?
Your Instagram friends or WhatsApp buddies now?
You know, I didn't want to be like weird. You know, they have to have. So I didn't push it. He took my number and I tried on his glasses. So in the picture, I'm literally like, like the goofiest.
Yeah.
So I told him if he needs a DJ, like literally rang me up, I will fly.
No way.
But we're pals. I love him, and he's got a clothing line now, and I need to get some of that drips.
No way.
Very diverse. Got a jazz album, got a clothing line.
Yeah, it's good. Just again, it's just interesting that these artists have different outlets and outputs.
I was asking him about conspiracy, like celebrity cloning and like all this, because like I watch all this stuff. Like there's 2 Eminems, you know, there's 2 Kanyes, and
It's a conspiracy, right?
yeah, I think Jim Morrison's still alive. You know, he wanted to be. I don't believe in all celebrity fake deaths. Jim Morrison, Steve Jobs are the 2 that I find viability in, personally. But I was asking him about that, and he was just like, I don't know any personally. He's like, it's certainly possible.
That's how conspiracy is. That's how the conspiracy lives.
He was definitely him. I love you that much.
Hollywood's a weird.
Nobody can be like Jeff Goldblum, that's for sure. But yeah, literally, my boyfriend knows how much I like freaking love him, and I was able to send a picture of us like right before we took off, and he didn't see it, I guess, when I sent it to him because my boyfriend was like on a retreat in Bali, like a psychological retreat, and the guy who leads the retreat, they're having lunch, and it just has his phone, and he's like, Rachel's hanging out with Jeff Goldblum right now. And Sam was like, what? He just ran away. Just like, what is her life? And it's true. Like my best friend has always said to me, like, Rachel, can you just have one normal day? Like ever? I'm like, no, it's not. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's impossible.
So then, aside from DJing at Jeff Goldblum's merch launch, I guess.
Please.
What else is what's next for you? What's coming up, like short term, mid term, long term?
Ooh. Yep. Short term, but excited about playing at Slap for the first time, which should be really fun.
When's that?
April 30th. April 30th. I'm going tonight as well to see some of the techno people because they're really good. And I haven't been there yet, and I've been meaning to go. It's just been so busy.
Who's playing tonight?
Tonight is Abyss, and it's Angelica Darka, who I love. Darka's really good. Shelf Index. I think Jamie. A woman, Temple Rat, who is from Shanghai, but she lives in Berlin now. She's really good. Yeah, it's a loaded lineup. You know some of the others, right?
Yeah, like Susie Q, Suzanne, and La Rose.
Yeah, it's gonna slap basically. So.
Have you been yet to Slap?
Not on an event yet, but I visited a place, and I think I'm just. I like the places with like bigger windows and brighter feelings. Comfier cashes out. I'm really about the comfy to rave ratio. Like I love to be both ravey, but also very comfy and homey. That's my
Cool.
soft spot.
So yeah, I'm going to see that, and then I'm playing Oma on May 30th, which will be fun.
Who are you playing with?
Some of their guys.
Oh, nice.
I think Andrew and I forget just necessarily. It just sort of came to be. But I love playing at Oma, so that's always really fun. And then
Isn't there a block party coming up?
Yes, block party this Friday. Very exciting. First time doing the secret disco set, so I'll be like straight to the source. So
It's good.
get in for that. Yeah, get in for that. That'll be really fun. I play at 6 to 7. And later on in the year, in August, playing at Boomtown, which is really exciting. It's massive. It's kind of a smaller room there and stuff. It's like in the town, but it was my favorite small stage. So very exciting.
How did that come about?
Oh, also kind of just like happened. Like I was at Boomtown. And I only went to Boomtown because I was bitter that I couldn't go to Wonder Fruit for the first time in 4 years. So I was like, let me find another festival to go to. And I'd never been to Europe. So I was like, all the better. So I went to Europe for the first time last summer. We went to London and we went to Portugal. And then we ended it with Boomtown. And it was such a good festival. Like the food was so good. Like everybody looked like Will. The first great. So just like best friends everywhere.
Clones of Will.
Oh my god, the banter, walking through places, like so funny. Just all the things I've come to love about like the UK crowd here in Hong Kong, that like on a mass. It was so cool. And the stages were incredible. And Boomtown has a lineup that's like, it's literally a lineup that is all names that have been thrown on my USB this year, like getting into bass and last year. So like, it was just like, how do I go see everybody that's on my USB? Because I know they're good.
Yeah.
Because they're all on a USB. So that was really, really cool to see everybody in the stages. And it's crazy, like, the stage is there. I don't know what kind of, like, sound mechanics are at work, but they'll have a stage here and a stage here. This way, that way. No sound bleed. Not even during silences. Like, what? Yeah. It's very impressive. And not to mention, it's like a whole production and all this. So anyway, I'm there and I'm getting really inspired. Like, oh, how do we have like a Hong Kong stage here? Because like you can apply for stages and stuff. I was like, how cool would it be to have like Kowloon or like whatever, this and that, or like a Chinatown? Because like there's a Chinatown and all different things. And so I'd been to this one little stage that I spent most of the time in otherwise when I wasn't seeing other acts, because it was really cool. It's called the Pomegranate, and it's like indoors at any time. It feels like night because it's just red and there's like beds everywhere and just like red drapery, and it's kind of like
I'll say you, is it? That'll come for you after.
Down this year. I shouldn't go. You should. And it was beautiful, and the DJs were incredible. And there was this one DJ who was like an older woman, and I took some videos of her because I thought she was fabulous. And then a couple months later, I'm scrolling on Instagram and like she comes up as like a person you may know, and I'm like, oh, I saw her at Boomtown. I didn't meet her, I didn't talk to her or anything, but she's a DJ. I'm a DJ. I know that I appreciate videos when they get sent to me, so I send her the videos, and I'm just like, hey, you were great, la la la, and she was like, oh, thank you for sending me, like, sorry it's a late reply. Oh, it was like 3 hours later, late reply. Late reply doesn't exist to me. You could text me back anytime.
Maybe you feel you sent it like the day of the festival or something, not like months later.
I just wanted her to have the videos, really. She was like, just come back from Japan. I was like, oh, you came to Asia? Like, next time you're in Asia, like, I do parties here in Hong Kong. Like, please, I would love to have you. I'm a DJ here. And she said that she actually managed that stage there at Wonderfruit, the pomegranate. So then I was like, how do you go about doing that? Like, I would love to do like a Hong Kong thing or like this and that. She had said that they did at one point have like a Chinatown kind of thing. But the people there thought it was like, there was like some hoo-ha about like it being like appropriation or like cultural or like, which is so annoying because we don't really have that. But no, we're gonna past all that, you know, especially if it was Hong Kong people bringing over. Anyway, still could happen. But she was like, oh, you're a DJ? Like, send me a mix. And I was like, here's a mix. You know, like I sent her the link. And she's like, you're in. That sounds amazing. And I was just like, okay. So playing Boomtown, I guess. So yeah, it's just, I think it really comes from, because I talk to Sam, my partner, sometimes about like, I don't know how all this happened. Like, stuff like that. And he's like, well, you really just like reach out to people. And when I reached out to her, I certainly didn't think, oh, this is my way to play Boomtown.
Yeah.
I was just like, let me send her these videos. They're great videos, like, you know. And it's just this organic conversation and just like you respecting thy other artists, just like with a pure respect, and wanting the best for them. And I think a lot of good comes from that, honestly. Yeah.
I think so too. Like it's like your, well, assume your like open-heartedness and like authenticity that you are able to showcase through the internet to another person, just appreciating their art. And yeah, good things just happen when I guess you're genuine and authentic, I think.
Yeah. What about you? What's the favorite like tempo event you guys done?
Events wise,
Although I'm sure they all have their praise.
they're all amazing. But I think, well, the most recent one that you also participated in, the 1 year anniversary, I think it has one of the best stories to tell, because that one where you were also there too. So this is a perfect story to tell. That day, the international artists that we brought in, their name is Zoe McPherson. My first time meeting them was on a flight to Berlin as well. Like this really cool green hair person sitting next to me as a DJ. I'm like, must be somewhat creative, right? And I talked to them for the first time, and I'm like, oh, cool. This rumor is true. Everyone in Berlin is a DJ. But from then on, I started following their music, and it's always like super experimental, super cool. I never really saw like where I could hear it in Hong Kong, but I was just like, super cool. And a few years later, they happened to do like an Asia tour, and then I'm like, oh, so cool. We are planning an event on this date, and initially we're going to bring in another artist, but then they couldn't make it last minute, but we still want to go through the event. It was like just a month before the event, and I texted them, and they're like, oh yeah, of course, let's make it work.
Yeah. That's amazing.
They only had one free day during their Asia tour, and it was the date that we already planned with you with Sticky Fried Vibes to DJ at Slimefest, and then
amazing.
It just suddenly worked, and within a few days we get a poster out. But that's kind of like the story of tempo. Is like a lot of threads get pulled, and suddenly something worked, and then you get the word out, and then there's a good party. You're like,
yeah.
So that's the height of a promoter.
They're just doing it for good
things happen,
spreading the love, because you guys have always been really pure about it, too, like and experimental in like the, ooh, how do we do it where it ends at 12 and then like they're off to catch a different vibe like somewhere else. Like some of my favorites was maybe my first at like Melody at Music Room.
That was so good.
So fun. It was so fun.
Yeah, Melody, another beautiful place in Hong Kong that no longer exists anymore. That's just really sad. They closed.
When?
Okay, internet, they've closed. They didn't announce it publicly, but they closed. The Music Room is no longer there.
Well, own that sound system, the guy that said it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so Johnny Hiller is working on a new bar concept.
Okay.
It's gonna open up at Soho in May. I don't know the name of it, but it's coming up. We'll have really cool sound system. It'll be good. I know they're currently going through construction, so in May that will happen again. So a new venue to be.
You know what's really funny about Music Room? I was in there, and so I have like something with my brain where like I'm synesthetic. So like colors, textures, I can sort of like feel them in my like emotionally, and like it's just sort of like this brain wire where like there's different facets of it, there's different kinds, but like
I have number synesthesia.
yeah, there you go. So you know, it's like you
feel number.
I don't feel numbers, but I visualize them in a particular way, and I wasn't aware of this until about 4 or 5 years.
like a number has a color for sure.
It doesn't have a color, but it's just like a particular, like, really abstract pattern in my head that I see numbers. Yeah.
Yep. So I think it makes me a good DJ because like I can feel the music, and then it feels like a texture. And then I think about painting, and I think about like if I had a stroke like this, it needs a dash and it needs like a speckle. So like in music, I feel that too, where like, well, this needs a juxtaposing like this. So, like that's the other beat that I'll bring in, or like it's like a movement or something. So anyway, I was in a Music Room and I was dancing in there. It has the lights and the way that the mirrors are and stuff. And I said to somebody, I'm like, I can't explain it, but like this room feels a lot like if Min had like a sophisticated older sister that like still parties, but like went to college way back when he was in high school. And somebody was like, right? But somebody immediately just like, what the fuck are you talking about? They were like, what are you on about, Rach? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, does it not feel that way? And I said it to a few people that kind of got it and then like didn't get it. And then I said it to the guy who like helped, who worked there, like brought it together. And he's like, yeah, it's actually the same designer. And I was like, well, there we go. Who just like, my God, people thought I was like crazy. But it's just like feeling that feng shui and being like, this is familiar. This is something. It's a touch, like it's an artistic touch. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was one of the that was our first event at Music Room, and it was definitely a killer. It was so good.
And my USB got corrupted, and luckily I had two, but all the music I wanted to play I couldn't play. But me and Will loved to back, and it was great. It just went fine. I was like, okay, well, I have other music on here. We're just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I remember, I think like during that event, like Johnny Hiller was like, she noticed like your music, and then subsequently you also played at a Music Room. I think just like a few weeks after.
Oh yeah, the rooftop one.
No, at Music Room.
Oh, again, yes.
With event with Y2K with an artist.
Red Pig Flower.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I'm gonna miss that venue.
I know.
Well, they're gonna make something new and good, I'm sure.
Min's sophisticated older sister.
Yeah.
She's so about on your Instagram bio if you want.
Oh, it's all right. I'll be ambiguous and confusing.
That's good.
Yeah, but that's lovely. I think music in Hong Kong is definitely super fun. There's a lot of room for exploration. The city is so small, and I swear everyone's 2 degrees of separation from each other. Which makes people sometimes more scared, like, oh, judgmental, or be really kind to each other and take care of each other.
Well, that's probably to bring it back to the start, is like, because it is so geographically small, there's 2 degrees of separation. You can't get away with being a dickhead.
Yeah.
You can't get away with it because people find out.
Yeah, people will tell everyone.
Yeah.
Be nice. Be nice.
Sorry others how you'd like to be treated, or the DJs aren't gonna think you're cool. So no, it's great. It's a self-fulfilling like ecosystem, and it's just like this filter, and I think it keeps people from being fake because like you're just being real. You know, like the people that understand it know that like if they dance goofy and they love to dance goofy and that makes them feel good, like in these spaces they're allowed to. Like people need to know it's allowed to just dance crazy, you know, because like I'm gonna judge you a little harder like if you're totally not. Like I went to Creamfields and like nobody was dancing and I was like angry. I was just like
that makes me so angry too.
Yeah.
I'm like your friend, you know, at like a dance floor, and even if it's packed, not packed, but if people are not dancing, like, how do you give feedback to the DJ? Like,
Yeah,
how would they know if they're doing a good job or not?
That's what, like, my friend Alicia said in that club. She's like, what would you rather? What would you rather? And I remember I was so mad that I was just dancing like crazy by myself. And I had gone to Creamfields by myself. And this older woman came up to me and she was like, I love your energy. I was like, I love your energy. And she was just like, I'm like 48 and my kids are at home. Is it weird that I came to this by myself? And I was like, no, like goals, girl. This is amazing. And I think she just, she saw me and she said that. She's like, is it weird like to say something? I'm like, no. This is what this needs. This is what everybody here needs, you know?
That's the best part about like some events. It's, you see the diversity not on just culture, but also the age group and just people from different backgrounds and everyone just together and just having fun and dancing goofy. You can have kids, no kids, dogs, no dogs.
I saw a tweet that said, the cringe is how the light gets in.
And here we end this podcast.
The cringe is how the light gets in. Like, you have to just... It's so much worse being scared.
That's true.
Being nervous, you know?
Oh, I saw this other meme that's related to cringe to us. It's like there's two mountains and then there's just nothing in the middle. There's like a valley.
Yeah.
And then it's like a guy standing and looking like here's their goal. Goal is at the other mountain. And then the other picture is a bridge and the bridge is called Cringe. So you just gotta walk up the air.
Just like when I started the music journey, making music, like, you have to be bad before you're good at anything.
Just gotta keep doing it.
Gotta keep doing it. The first step is sucking. The first step of being good at something is sucking at something.
So cringe is just a perception that you think other people are giving you.
And people like it.
That's true.
But you realize they're very sad people. You realize they're not ones to talk. They're too afraid to do it. And they just... Yeah, as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're just trying to make every day worth living for yourself. Like, I had a friend in college who was just like, I want to make sure I'm having fun every day of my life. Like, that's a really good idea. Yeah, like, I want to enjoy it the whole time. Like, if there's a day I'm not having fun, like, I have to go do something fun. And that could mean a lot of things. It could just mean, like, strapping your rollerblades on. It could mean,
go for a walk.
Yeah, just make fun.
Get an egg tart.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. It's a very simple motto as well, isn't it? Very achievable.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
You're the one defining it. Your fun is your version of fun. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, appreciate you taking the time to come and chat, share some stories, share some insight.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Tanya, for your time as well and for providing the tea.
Anytime.
Which Rachel's not even tried yet. You haven't tried the tea.
I want to try it
now, but still gonna be good. Dun 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 dun.
A+. A+, A+, A+. That's really sweet. I like that.
Yeah, it's called Black Forest. It resembles the Black Forest cake.
Okay, wait. If you ever find a fig tea, please tell me. Because I used to get massages in Shanghai in this massage parlor, and they would always have, fig tea, which I never saw anywhere else. So
fig sounds delicious.
Very sweet, but it's very good.
I used to have a pomegranate tea from Istanbul, and that one was so good as well.
Tea. The tea. Spilling the tea.
That's it. We should have a section. We should add a section on this for spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
Yeah. Any anonymous gossip, send it in. Send it in. We'll spill the tea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the ngl.link. You know, the anonymous link. The NGL. Not gonna lie.
Oh, not gonna lie. That's right. That's
Click
right.
here. Submit your hottest tea in the Hong Kong underground music scene.
If we had like a Hong Kong TMZ, that'd be so chaotic.
I mean, honestly, there are a lot of really good stories to get.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, there are people who are fake in this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay. Let society self keep their energy. Good energy only. You attract what you give out.
It's true.
Do you want us to do like a wrap up of like follow Munday Studios? Obviously, shout out at Gargoyle Girlfriend on Instagram and SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Just to say, Gargoyle Girlfriend. All one word. No underscores, because you fucking hate underscores.
If there's another one of me out there, not for long. She better count her days. The guy in Alaska got off for rehabilitating birds, but
You better do something.
you better
You better do it.
Right, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.